it's good afternoon because it's afternoon here.
Yeah, late afternoon for me.
Late afternoon in the UK.
Yeah.
We're so honored to have you on the Opportunities for Zimbabweans podcast. This will be our second episode. Our first episode was with Nancy Kwango, who's an alumni of the Community Solutions Fellowship Program in the US. So it's nice. Now we're moving from the US to the UK. So we kind of like that diversity. The good thing about this is with someone I know, someone I went to school with at the National University of Science and Technology, Yemurai Chinyande. Yemu, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm the one who's honored to be a part of this, Anisu. So thank you very much. I'm very well, and I'm happy to be here.
Exciting. So tell us, you're in the UK right now. What are you doing in the UK? Who is Yemurai Chinyande, and what is she doing in the UK today?
Okay. So I'm currently studying an MBA in Global Finance at the University of Derby under the Chevening Scholarship. So I was one of the 10 selected for the year 2020 to 2021. And I can't tell you how rich the experience has been since I've been here, and I've still got quite a couple of months to go. And it's so amazing. I'm actually happy to be here. I'm a very driven young lady. I always desire more. I always think about how things can get better, or think of how far I can go. Like I'm really excited and curious to see how far I can go, and getting opportunities is one great way to allow yourself to experience all of these things and see how far your potential can take you. So yes,
that's
me.
I know about that drive. I saw it. When was it? 8 years ago when we graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always seen that drive, and it's really amazing to see where you are now, where we are now, and how, when we were in college in Blawayo at that time, would you have imagined yourself being where you are today? And I mean, what is it where do you get this drive from, really?
That, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have imagined that I'd be here today.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you is I always had great aspirations for myself. So I knew I would be somewhere. Yes. I just had this desire for more. I couldn't get contented with the fact that where I was where I was going to be for the rest of my life. There was always there's got to be more, and that's the thing that has always driven me. Say, there's got to be more. So no matter, even as I'm here right now today, I feel, okay, this is great, I'm happy to be here, but that thing always remains. There's got to be more.
It's not the end, right? The journey is still on.
The journey is still going. Yeah.
That's exciting. So you mentioned you're studying an MBA in finance. From what I take, we did computer science at Nust. So how are you in finance now? How did you find yourself in and why finance, right? So are you still in computer science, or you're doing computer science and finance, or you're making a career switch?
Okay, so I'd like to actually take you a few steps back to how I got into computer science. I always like to tell the story because I find it very funny.
Yes.
So after I finished high school, I thought, okay, I really would like to get into chemical engineering, get into the pharmaceutical industry. So actually,
you were doing sciences.
Yes. So I had really passed very well because I had 14 points. I was doing I had done maths, physics, and chemistry. So with those results, I thought I was guaranteed to get a place in whichever program I wanted.
Do anything.
I tried it, Nust, and then I got computer science. I'm like, what's that? I was actually devastated. I was devastated when I got the results, and I actually did try to switch back, do the negotiations. These are my A-level results. I want to get into chemical engineering, etc. But it didn't work. Unfortunately, administration issues, you are stuck in computer science, you have to do that. So for a while, it took me really quite a while to adjust and accept that this was the path that I was going to take. I think it then really began to make much sense to me when I went for internship and I realized that computer science is actually the thing, when I realized the impact of the work that I did. At that time, I was at a bank, and I realized the importance of the financial services of technology to the financial services that the people were accessing. And I realized, you know what I'm doing matters. And I think that's always important in any career, to feel that what you're doing matters, because that gives you the drive. So when I got into internship and I realized the impact and the importance of tech, I realized, okay, this is really cool. So I then went back to school, finished off, graduated, and that was great. So from then on, I continued. I got my first job as a software engineer, worked there for about 5 years, doing software development, which was fun. I like solving problems, and software development is just the best way to explore that. So I was a software developer for that time. But after a while, I kind of felt discontented. I'm like, okay, so is this it? Is this how I'm going to spend the rest of my life? Maybe not. So I began to develop an interest towards the business side of tech. That's when I then transitioned to becoming a business analyst, which is a role that basically sits between business and the tech team. So that was fun. And now I've transitioned into product management, particularly in the payment sector. So how my MBA ties into what I'm doing, I haven't left tech, by the way. I'm still into tech.
Okay. Always.
What it is now is I'm looking to grow in business leadership, but leveraging on my technical skills. So because I've got a very strong technical background, a BSc in computer science and MIS and MSc in information systems, I thought, okay, now for me to really have a voice that matters in any boardroom, I need to sharpen my business acumen, because as far as everyone is concerned, they just think, okay, technical people, what do they have to say besides code? So to sharpen my business acumen, I decided, okay, I'm going to do an MBA in global finance. But the reason why I specifically chose finance is because I've been specializing in digital financial services since I started my career.
Which is becoming a big thing in Zimbabwe right now. Right?
Yes, and in the world at large, digitizing financial services and ensuring that there's financial inclusion. And that, there's seamless transactions for the customer. So basically, that's how the MBA in global finance is tying up with my technical skills to bring about the career that I desire.
I mean, what a journey! Like from accidentally ending up doing computer science, falling in love with tech and software engineering. And it's just funny how, sometimes certain things happen in life and we don't like them when they happen, because in our minds, that's not what we want. But then later on in life, you realize, oh, wait, sometimes things happen for a reason. That accident, that person who put you into computer science instead of chemical engineering, it's a mistake that you welcome now, right? That it's actually happened like that because you ended up enjoying and liking the journey, and it has played a part in getting you to where you are today. Just to get back to computer science, a lot of girls or women in Zimbabwe, initially just sciences, let's just talk of sciences, do not either like doing sciences or are discouraged to do sciences. I did my high school at Gokomere High School, and in our maths, physics, chemistry class, we were about 25 people, and there were only maybe 5 or 6 girls. The rest were like 20 boys in the class. In my O-level at Holy Cross, we were about 40 people in my class, the class that was doing sciences, and there were 4 girls out of 40 people, and then 38 boys. So it's always been this thing where sciences are for boys, sciences are for men. So what challenges have you faced being, first of all, a girl who did sciences in school, and then a woman in tech and computer science? And how are you seeing those stereotypes changing, and also the numbers changing, really having more women in the technology space?
Thank you, Anisu. So I think definitely there has been quite a big change. We are definitely not where we used to be. But one thing that I would like to bring out to the fore, first of all, is it's mainly about how you see yourself as a woman. Definitely the society has a lot to do with it, but right now, particularly for our chat, I just want to make it clear that the way you see yourself, the way you perceive yourself is more important than anything. It can defy whatever label society can put on your gender, on your background, or anything else, how you view yourself. So if I'm going to say, okay, well, I think I'm intelligent, I'm able to do anything that I set my mind to do, whether it's a male-dominated industry or society thinks it's impossible, that's besides the point, because I believe it. And if I believe it, what everyone else thinks is secondary.
Yeah.
But however, I do admit that society has a lot to do with the way we've been cultured to perceive science subjects, mathematical subjects, particularly fear.
Yes.
Fear of failure. You know, the way that we are cultured, I believe from the time we are kids, boys will jump from one tree to the other, and parents will not hold their, their hearts or their breath. But when it comes to girls, sit nicely, do everything perfectly, don't shake the boat, be the good girl. And that diminishes our affinity for risk, for trying new things, for being experimental, and it creates this box and this definition around women that limits how far we can go and how much we can do. Whereas with boys, I mean, they can break down the remote and do whatever they would like to do, and say boys will be boys. And definitely that creates a bias, because you have been experimental from the time you were 2, and from the time I was 2 years old, I was told to sit nicely, I was told to don't do this, girls don't behave this way, girls don't be, it becomes ingrained within you. And you have to come to a point in your life where you say, okay, you know what, in spite and despite of what has been said or what has been defined, I'm going to there's this popular saying that only crazy people believe that they can change the world. So it's only those people who deem societal limitations as a non-entity who are able to step out and do amazing things.
Inspirational. I mean, it's really, really inspiring, because I think, as you mentioned, society does shape our beliefs, does shape, because if you grow up people telling you a certain way, those kind of things will stick in until, that rebelness comes at some point and you're like, no, whatever you're telling me is whatever, but I don't believe in that. And I think what's also important is a culture of creating success stories. People like you, other young girls in Zimbabwe, seeing that, it's fine. A girl can do tech as much as a man can do tech. You can program, you can do finance, you can do anything that you want. And I think we need to highlight more and more success stories, especially in sciences and tech, to show a young girl who's sitting somewhere in Blawayo there, to know that, hey, 10 years from now, they can definitely be where you are. So thank you very much again. It just shows the importance of why we want to talk to people like you and get that inspiration and motivate one or two young girls out there in Zimbabwe. So basically segueing into back to the Chevening scholarship program. A lot of people ask us about the Chevening. It's one of the most popular scholarships that people ask on our page. And a lot of people want to know, is there a special group that's selected for Chevening? Do you have to have some, links with the UK embassy? Like, how does it go? Like, how do you get selected for a Chevening scholarship program?
You don't have to have any links within any embassy to get accepted for the Chevening scholarship. But I'll also tell you, it's not an easy journey. It's not something that will just fall on you without applying yourself wholly. I'll tell you, this was my third attempt at applying for the Chevening scholarship. So I'd been trying for a while, not just the Chevening scholarship, but several other scholarships before. It is important for you to, as I've mentioned before, to expose yourself to opportunities, because these opportunities enlarge your capacity and give you an opportunity to discover how far you can really go. So I've always been looking for opportunities to say, okay, I need to pursue opportunities so that I can actually give myself a chance to be all that I was made to be.
Yeah.
So definitely the Chevening scholarship will require you to prove yourself, to say, okay, why should we choose you ahead of the thousands of students? Like this year, we're told about over 60,000 students applied in the whole world, and about 1.4, 1.6 students were selected from that big tray. So at the end of the day, the question that is asked over and over again is why you? So you have to answer that question through 4 essays, one on leadership. You need to demonstrate leadership skills. And I know that's a big challenge for many, because it's like, okay, I'm not a leader anyway. So what am I going to say there? So that is why at the end of the day, it becomes a journey, because you need to start seeing yourself as a leader and saying, okay, so how can I position myself in such a way that when I then apply for any scholarship, I've got. So it's important every day of your life, it's inspired whether or not you're going to apply for any scholarship, to realize that your life is a story that is going to help you open up other doors in the future. So you need to apply yourself every day. You need to be very aware that each day matters, and whatever you do today is sowing seed for the trees that you will need to reap from tomorrow. So they'll ask you concerning your leadership qualities. Tell us about your current leadership positions that you hold. It's not just at work. It could be at church. It could be in the community. How have you demonstrated leadership qualities?
And leadership is not just being a manager at work, right? It's not being a director. I think people confuse sometimes leadership with being the boss or being, I don't know, like the manager. But leadership is, tell me a little more about how someone can be a leader if they are still in school, for example.
Okay. You know, I will go back to John C. Maxwell's adage, where he says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So leadership is influencing people towards a particular goal. So if you're going to, an example of how you can demonstrate leadership qualities when you're, for instance, in high school, is to organize a community event. Okay, so we are going to do a fundraising and go and donate some funds at a local orphanage, or we're going to organize ourselves to go and clean up the bus terminus. And then you get that organized, and then you go and get something done. So it's the small things where you have a vision, where you think, okay, this is something that I think can be done. And then you organize and take initiative. Exactly, taking initiative. Taking initiative to say, okay, guys, let's do this. This is a noble cause. So definitely that's one way someone can demonstrate leadership in high school. Another way is to join clubs. Join clubs. There are so many different clubs that people could join in high school. It could be drama. It could be Toastmasters. It could be. We had one that was called Interact, but it was mainly it was a community club where you'd do community engagement initiatives. So join clubs at school, and in those clubs, don't be the person who sits at the back at the corner and says nothing. Be the person who's going to suggest, who's going to take initiative, who's going to say, to lift their hand and say, okay, I volunteer to do this. I give myself to do this.
Yes.
That is how you demonstrate and activate leadership, by influencing, by taking initiative, by thinking beyond what is currently happening. So yes, definitely, that's how one can demonstrate leadership. So I was going over the essays that Chevening requires. I talked about leadership. Yes. So there's the leadership one, where you can mention initiatives like that, where you lead. So for instance, I'd also talked about if you lead maybe if you're a youth leader in the church, that's something else that you can actually talk about. So leadership cuts across different disciplines. So you should demonstrate it in one way or another. The next one is on networking. They say it's about who you know. I always then follow it up and say it's about what they know about you. So Chevening requires you to demonstrate how you are able to use the network around you for your benefit and for the benefit of those around you. Do you reach out to people? Do you reach out to connect to people, following people who are going to benefit you and those around you? How easily do you introduce yourself? And it takes you letting go of certain insecurities, because at times, we are too insecure to just go up and introduce ourselves. And it's a bit cultural as well. Our culture encourages us to keep to ourselves, be modest. But to be honest with you, that doesn't do you any good. So what's important is for you to have that boldness to say, hi, how are you? My name is Yemurai. I'm an MBA student. I am very interested in women in tech initiatives, mentoring people, and I am very career driven. That is what I do. That is what I'm interested in. Who are you and what are you doing? What are you up to? And feel confident in your own skin. So Chevening will require you to demonstrate how you have linked up with other people in the past and how you've leveraged on those relationships for your own good and for those around you. And then how you plan or intend to use the networks that you build through Chevening in the future. So you can already start preparing, start reaching out to people. I'll give you an example. Earlier on in the year, I decided I was going to run leadership seminars online, particularly under my Girls at It initiative. So I went onto LinkedIn. I actually paid for LinkedIn Premium that particular month for this particular reason. I paid for LinkedIn Premium for that particular month. And then I looked up all female CEOs, MDs within Zimbabwe for a start. And then I inboxed all of them. Hi, how are you? My name is Yemurai Chinyande. This is what I do. I would love to interview you so that we can learn from you. You really are inspirational. I think a lot of us could do well from learning from you through an interview. And some didn't respond, but some responded. Some actually responded. And I've had the privilege of interviewing some of these women, phenomenal women, and some of them have turned out to be great friends, great acquaintances. But that would not have happened if I had not stepped out and just let go of all insecurities and worries and just connected with people. So that's one way you can start networking. Connect with people, whether they know you or they don't. What do you have to lose? Those who didn't reply. I'm still here, and what I managed to
do. No, of which
so you might as well. So definitely networking is important. Attending conferences, joining clubs. Those are some of the ways that you can use to build your network. Then the third is so the first one's on leadership, the second one is on networking, and the third one is on your career plan. What's your plan? We give you I will give you the Chevening Award. You do your degree, because remember it's very broad. You can choose whichever degree you'd like to pursue. What's your plan after that? You need to have a plan. In a lot of platforms you get asked, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And at times it sounds like one of those cliche questions, but for real, you need continuously in life, you should always ask yourself, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, maybe 5 years may sound too far. How about in 3 or maybe in 10? So Chevening is going to ask you, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Because they want to invest into something that they see as hopeful and has a bright future, if I put it that way. So you need to then put it out, word after word. After I graduate and get back home, end of 2021, this is my plan. In 2 years' time, I hope to be this. In 3 years' time, I hope to be this. In 5 years' time, I hope to be this.
And I think some of the challenges that people have with that question, where you're going to be in 5 years, where you're going to be in 10 years, is the fact that we know it's not always that what you write down. Life is not like that, right? It might not happen like that, right? 2 years, 3 years from now, you might find another opportunity that makes you switch and do something else. And it's totally fine. Life allows to do that.
But you still need to have a plan.
Don't have a plan. Exactly.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean don't have a vision, especially when it comes to going to school, when it comes to investments in time and money, which is what the scholarship like Chevening does. they need to know your vision. They need to know why they're putting their money in you. Which areas are they guaranteed that you're going to help with? Yes, it's not. If it'll be interesting to come back 5 years after this, to come back to your essay that you wrote, your 5-year plan, and see if exactly
definitely
went on like that.
You're so right. At times I look back at some of my previous aspirations, and I'm like, okay, at some point I was really keen on becoming this, but well, that has changed. But your dreams are always valid whenever you have them.
You're still on the same lane. You can see where you came from point A, and you can see, oh, this is how I got here. And it doesn't happen by accident. It comes from having a vision,
Exactly.
seeing ahead, and hence knowing, okay, what do I need to do now for me to be where I want to be? And that's where that, those kind of questions come, like when they say 5-year plan, they're not saying, tell us what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do next week, what you're going to do next month. Not necessarily, because you sometimes don't even know how things are going to turn out, but they want to know, do you have a vision? Do you have an idea of, hence, do you know what you need to do right now to get there? So I mean, this is really, really important question. And again, like I say, a lot of people ask us these kind of questions. So we're really honored to be able to have someone who's in it right now answering us some of these questions. While we're still on the applications, you mentioned you applied 3 times. This was your 3rd time applying.
Yeah.
I applied for Chevening 3 times as well, and I didn't get it. Until I literally was like, you know what? Maybe this is, and it's fine. You know what? It's absolutely fine. I ended up applying for master's scholarships in the US, and I managed to find a fully funded scholarship opportunity in the US. But I think a lot of people, someone applies just one time, they don't get it, and they just quit. It's very rare. I mean, there are people who apply once and just get in, but for the most part, we encourage people like apply until that congratulations email come into your inbox. Because if you stop, you're not going to get it. Like you're guaranteed that you're not going to get it if you don't apply or if you don't keep on applying. It's also okay to like diversify, you don't want to try something for 10 consecutive years, just applying that one thing. Maybe you're pointed to try out other things, but I think it's important for people to know that you just don't get it the first time. A lot of times.
I totally agree with you. I always say applying for scholarships is almost like a sieve. And each time you apply, it's as if they're asking you, how bad do you want it? You apply once and you don't get it and you let it go. Maybe you don't want it that bad. And we do not want to give someone a scholarship award when they don't want it as bad as the next person. So I believe that the applying several times is a demonstration of how bad you want something. So it is important for you not to give up. It is important for you to keep trying, because at the end of the day, the ones that succeed are the ones that last longer in the game. So if you are going to make it onto the other side of the river, you really need to apply yourself and determine that you're going to be the last man standing. Why should you give up and fail? Because it becomes so I always say, be the last man standing. You know what, when all is said and done, when all the no's and the declines have come, you're going to be the one standing with the yes, I finally got a successful application. So I'd like to encourage someone who's listening right now to say, you know what, apply as many times as possible. I always want to give this example, and I think today might be the first time I'm saying it in public, but when I was working on my driver's license, some people get their driver's license on their first go. I didn't. As intelligent as I perceive myself to be, I struggled getting my driver's license. I got it on my 11th attempt.
11th time. Funny thing is, I already know that there are 2 channels of getting a license in Zimbabwe. So by you telling me you tried 11 times, I know which channel you used.
Exactly. So I'm saying this to say, in my mind, I was clear that I was going to get that driver's license no matter what it took. Like, I knew I'm going to be a driver. I'm going to drive several different cars in my lifetime. So I don't care how many times I fail this thing. I am going to do it as many times as is required for me to get that stamp that proves that I'm a legal driver. So it's basically the same in life, to say, once you've made up your mind concerning something, if you believe that a scholarship is what you need to get your vision
if you
come
want
to life,
you want it.
you are going to do whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes, to get it done. So giving up is never an option, guys.
That's a real life experience you had from there, like 11 times getting a driver's license, 3 times applying for Chevening. And guess what? You have both right now.
Yeah.
You have both. That's really exciting. I mean,
I just want to complete on the essays in case we forget. So
yeah.
I had gone over 3 essays. Then the last one, they ask you concerning the universities or the program of choice that you'd like to pursue when you get awarded the scholarship. So you need to be clear about what you want to do. So they will say you can either choose 3 different programs in one university, or you can choose 1 program in 3 universities. And then once you make your choice, so you have a catalog of different universities with so many programs. You need to do your research. You need to go through each program and find which one really suits what you'd like to accomplish. And at times it can be a taxing process, because it really needs you to apply yourself. Imagine the number of universities that are in the UK and the number of programs that they have. So you really need to sit down and go through it and really put your mind to it and be able to justify your choice and prove that you really applied yourself in making this decision.
Yeah.
So that's the final essay that you need to put down.
So do you apply for the universities the same time you're applying for the scholarship? Like, how does this process work? Do you apply to the universities separately from the scholarship? Like, you go to the websites of the universities you want, then you go through their application process, and then you go and apply for the scholarship, then maybe give them a letter of admission to say, oh, I've been accepted to University ABCD. Or you tell them, I intend to apply to ABCD.
Okay, so you tell them you intend to apply to ABCD. You may have already applied, so you can just upload to say, okay, I've already applied for with this particular university, but it's not mandatory at the time of applying for the scholarship. Yes. So when I applied, for instance, I first applied for the scholarship, and at that time I had not yet applied to any of the universities. So because the application was due around November, I only applied, I think it must have been February.
Yes.
Must have been February. That's when I actually sent in the applications to the 3 universities. And then, so what happens is Chevening gives you a deadline to say, okay, we acknowledge that probably you might not have already applied to these universities, but we expect you to have applied to your universities of choice by such and such a date and received a response by such and such a date for us to accept you. So yes, you can apply for the Chevening scholarship before you've actually sent in your application to the particular university. Chevening will not apply on your behalf to that particular.
You have to apply for yourself.
You have to do it yourself and meet the requirements that the university demands.
And what are these general requirements for a Zimbabwean to study in the UK? Because the challenge with countries like the US, for example, you have to write additional examinations like the SATs, the GMATs, and the GREs, all of these things. But for the UK, I believe it's not like that. Like, what does a Zimbabwean need to do to apply for a master's program? What are some of the general eligibility requirements?
Okay, so for Chevening, you should have your first degree. You should also have worked for at least 2 years. So you need at least 2 years industry experience. And then you need to write your IELTS exam, your English exam.
I mean, thank you so much for taking us through those application processes, step by step, the types of essays. And I mean, just adding on to that, what are some of the things that you think were in your application that made you stand out?
Okay, so I'll go back to the to the essays that that I wrote, particularly the one on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yes, that's the one that I'd like to make reference to.
Mm-hmm.
I have several. Okay, I run an initiative called Girls at It.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mentorship initiative where I do provide mentorship for young women in their careers. Our vision mainly is to build uh, a growing community of women who are thriving in their vocations and positively impact their community. So basically, what we do is we do one-on-one mentoring sessions with students and young women who are still in their earlier stages of their careers. And we also hold seminars, like leadership seminars, where we invite, for instance, CEOs, MDs to basically speak to us, address us, give us a direction on how we can prepare ourselves for the journeys ahead. So that was one of the things that I wrote about in my essay. So, okay, look, this is what I'm doing currently back home.
Yes.
And through this, I've been able to interact with this number of girls, and these are the results that I've been able to attain from it. And then I also mentioned at that time I was leading our technical department at church. So I also mentioned that, okay, I'm leading our technical department at church. These are my responsibilities, and this is what we've managed to do through the time that I have been a leader within that department. I also mentioned, I don't know if any of you have read the book, The Leader with No Title by Robin Sharma. It's a very good read. I recommend that you read it. You don't need to have a position to demonstrate leadership. So as part of your essay, you can mention items that you've done outside a leadership role. You know, you can influence people, you can run initiatives without having a role, but you can demonstrate leadership qualities. So you can also mention, okay, at my workplace, I organized 1, 2, 3, 4. I did this and that, and you know, that can be a demonstration of leadership. So particularly the things that you do, you need to be active. Basically, I think that's very important. You need to be active. You can't be a lamp on a log. You know, you need to do stuff if you're going to make an impact and, you know, stand out. So that's basically some of the things that come to mind in terms of. Oh, then I also mentioned that my selection for Tech Women in 2015.
Which was a fellowship in the US, right?
Yes, it was a fellowship in the US. So it was basically an emerging leader in terms of women in tech. So basically what I can tell you is, you know, at times when you hear someone talking of, okay, I did that and then I became this, it can feel a little intimidating. You think, oh my God, I don't have all those accolades. So how am I going to get there? What's important is for you to be out, to be active where you are, and to begin sowing seeds towards the person that you're going to become. You know, you should wake up each day thinking, what I'm going to do today has repercussions on on some of the things and the opportunities that I'll get access to in the future. Yeah. So it was because of it, you have to have a long-term plan and picture of where you would like to go. So if I think that I want to be a Chevening scholar, then I should start making myself Chevening scholar material.
Yes,
otherwise, otherwise there's no point. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, thank you so much. I don't know why they wouldn't have chosen you, honestly, with all that very impressive things that you have done sort of over the years. And thank you again for reiterating that. We try to reiterate that here at Ops for Zen, to tell people that do what you can when you can, right? Like things you're talking about, volunteering with NGOs, going kumamisha in the rural areas, helping distribute food. You know, organizations are always looking for people to help out. And you don't have to be paid all the time to do these things. You can volunteer. You can be like, but you are sowing, like you're saying, somewhere where you can come back to say, hey, 5 years ago, look, I was doing this with organization A, B, and C. And for the most part, these are the things that you will write in your essays. And these are the things that they're looking for that will separate you from the majority of the applicants. And hence, so it's important from as early as you can, do what you can when you can. Getting back to like, where did this all start? Yes, where did this all start? Like, yeah, I'm just thinking about a girl who's sitting somewhere where you were sitting right now, who's probably 10 or 9 or maybe 15, just so that they can relate with you, because most of these things that you have mentioned, someone can, like you mentioned, can easily feel intimidated to be like, oh my God, she's so amazing. I could never see myself as doing that. But take us back to where it all started so that we can relate with those young girls back home in Zimbabwe right now.
I totally hear you. I totally hear you. So I was born in Blawayo Mpilo Hospital. Take way back, yes. So that's where I was born. I grew up in Ngulumane. I went to Nkomo primary school. You know, I know it's so difficult. I remember I remember when I went to high school.
Yeah.
When people were introducing themselves, you know, when you're Form 1s and everyone is introducing, my name is so and so, my previous school was, you know, and people we've got all these accents. You're thinking, okay, my name is Yemurai Chinyande, my previous school was Nkomo primary school. But you know, the nice part would be my name, because you'd be asked, okay, tell us about yourself and your grade 7 results. So my name is Yemurai Chinyande. My previous school was Nkomo primary school. For my grade 7 results, I got grade 5. Aggregate 5. Then you know, okay, well, it doesn't really matter where I was from, as long as I good grades.
Whether you can pronunciate my school or not, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I went to Nkomo primary school, grew up in Ngulumane. Then for my high school, I went to John Talak primary school. John Talak secondary school. Yes, just outside Blawayo along Harare Road, about maybe 45 minutes.
It's a mission boarding
school. Mission school. It was a boarding school. It was very high discipline.
Girls only school?
No, it was a mixed school.
Mixed, okay.
Yes, very high discipline, religious. Like, it was very good that, you know, it was very good in that way, and the quality of education was very good. So I really prized my time at John Talak. I grew a lot, and it was definitely fun.
So were you there for 1 to 6?
So I was there for 4 years. I was there for 4 years because at that time they just had Form 1 to Form 4. Right now they do have A level, but at that time they didn't. So that makes it feel like it was a long time ago. So, so I then after I finished my O level. After I finished my O level, I then went to St. James High School, which was another mission school outside, just outside Blawayo. This time it was a girls' school. So at that time, for my A level, I got sponsored by the Girl Child Network. Because at that time, to be honest, things were a little bit hard, because my dad passed away when I was in grade 7. So things were a little bit tough. Things were a little bit tough, actually. So when I finished my Form 4, I actually was a little stranded. So someone then, a friend of a friend, came in and said, okay, well, I know this organization called Girl Child Network. I don't know if you still remember Girl Child Network. It was an organization that particularly dealt with cases of young girls who are either abused or orphans or struggling one way or the other, and they either rehabilitate those children or provide them with the funds that they need. So I got sponsored by them.
Did you just approach them? Did you just go to the organization, and how did you?
So what happened was, I had an uncle of mine who knew about the organization, and then he gave me a contact. I think, I actually don't remember vividly, unfortunately. Then I actually then had to apply and then meet the people who were responsible for it, and then produce my results, which was definitely, which was a major contributor anyway, because you need to demonstrate that you are worth the investment.
Yes.
Then I applied, so they took care of my A-level fees. Then once I was done with my A-level, I then applied for the JNSF scholarship, which is the Econet scholarship so Econet runs several scholarships under its Higher Life Foundation. So there's the Capenham Trust, which takes care of the disadvantaged. Then there's the JNSF, which covers A-level and tertiary education for those who've done well in the
I
A-level.
remember this that you were on the Joshua.
Yeah, so I was on the Joshua Nkomo. So I applied after I finished my O-level. So they select per province. So I was under the North province, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got selected, fortunately, thank God. Got selected, so they took care of my university fees. So that was really great because it was a relief for myself and my family as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just realizing now that you've been on scholarships since.
Yeah, God has taken good care of me. I will not lie to you. He has.
I mean,
so,
it's also just showing that these opportunities are available from.
Yes, they are.
Age, right?
They are. They are.
High school, from university, all the way to masters now. And who knows, maybe PhD in a few years.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. They say where there is a will, there is a way. I was just thinking about it right now as you're speaking, to say, if you want something, I'll tell you this, something small. There was a time when we finished our first degree.
Yeah.
A very close friend of mine would chat and just talking about the things that we aspire or the things that we would like to experience. And this one time we're chatting and I was telling right now, if there's one thing that I really want, I would like to go and work for some of these big companies, maybe IBM or Oracle or Google, or it was just a conversation between the two of us, just chatting, telling, okay, I really would like this.
Yeah.
Fast forward a year later, I find myself in Google doing software engineering with one of their teams. And what I can say to you is, where there is a will, there is always a way.
What you think of yourself, what you dream about yourself, manifests in a way, because the moment you say it, you, without even noticing, you start acting towards it.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
You start associating yourself with people who will lead you to that. You start even on the internet, instead of just Googling maybe soccer. I was just talking about Manchester United earlier. We were talking.
Yes.
You end up Googling about this thing that you've dreamt about, because in your head, you've told yourself, I want to do this. Yes, so you start actually working sort of towards it. I mean, that's really inspirational and very important for all those young girls from Kulumane,
yes.
from the school There we go. All the way to John Tallock and James, and all the way to Nust. Just to round up, thank you so much for this conversation, and we hope here at Opportunities for Zimbabweans, we will be in touch with you, follow your journey through the Chevening Scholarship, learn more about Girls at Tits. We definitely love to share things going on. So if you have events that are going on in Zimbabwe that young girls can apply to, resources that you want to share with a wider audience, we are very willing. We ask people to share their links with us about anything, and we very much freely and willingly share those things, because that's why we exist. We're a platform just trying to push out information on opportunities for young people to help them succeed and prosper in their careers. In a few words, what advice do you have, one, to people who want to apply for the Chevening Scholarship, then two, to young girls who want to do computer science and technology?
Thank you very much. It's actually been an honor for me to be part of this conversation with you today. Word of advice to those applying for the Chevening Scholarship. One, I would want to say, do not give up. Please apply as long as it takes to get the scholarship. Of course, take it to what Anesu shared earlier on, to say, yes, diversify your options. Don't just apply to one particular scholarship. Apply to several. You don't know which door will open up for you, but do not give up. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is prepare yourself. Mm-hmm. Prepare yourself, invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. Make yourself the person whom Chevening would want to admit into their scholarship. Yeah. Don't just, throw your CV to them and expect that miracles are going to take place. Start preparing yourself, investing in yourself, making yourself that person whom Chevening would want to invest in.
Yes.
And definitely get in touch with people who've been accepted before. It also helps you to, okay, if they could get it, then I can get it. They can also help you review essays, etc. So that definitely will help. Then a word of advice to girls who want to pursue careers in tech. Girl, you can be anything that you want to be if you put your mind to it. So I always say the computer doesn't know the gender of a person using it. So definitely, definitely, if you really just put your mind to it, you can do it. Do not let society define you. You know, do not the way you view yourself is more important than anything else. So view yourself in the correct light, and you will discover that the world will manifest itself in the way in which you view yourself. So those two are very important. Believe in yourself beyond what society can label you or say about you. But finally, I want to say, always have a desire for more. This is now to everyone else in general. In life, you need to always have this discontentment, this desire for more. Because if you're content with where you are, you will remain there. So if you are going to grow, if you're going to become a better person, if you're going to achieve your dreams, you need to always have this internal desire, this drive, this desire for more. So always desire for more, and surround yourself with people who are going to inspire you and take you to another level. Thank you so much, Anesu. I really appreciate this time. You know, it's always, it always feels like you're coming out of a shower after having such conversations. It's so refreshing. Yeah, yeah.
I'm lost of words. I know we could go on and on and on and
I
on.
know.
Which I'm positive we're going to do another episode.
Definitely.
In the future, for sure, because there's just so much to talk about. But very good to see you, Yemu, and I'm really proud of the work that you have done, that you continue to do. And yeah, we want to keep learning and getting inspired from you. And thank you for giving us your time today. And yeah, that's it. That's a wrap.
Thank you so much, Anesu.